Welcome everybody to our second panel. This panel is focused on women on EU projects. So this time, as a moderator, I have the honor to introduce Areti Ntaradimou. I'm sorry for the pronunciation.
Good enough.
Okay. So Areti is the Brussels editor at Enlit Media and EU Projects Officer at Enlit Europe. She is a journalist with over 20 years of experience, and the last 10 of which have been dedicated to European energy projects and the Commission that funds them. Areti has a deep fascination for the energy transition that goes beyond technology, putting her bachelor's in philosophy and a master's in applied ethics into action. Thank you, Areti, for being our moderator today, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Revolve. Thank you, CoolLIFE project for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here with these wonderful ladies. Hearing my bio out loud makes me think that maybe I need to revisit it because it sounds a little bit presumptuous. But let me tell you why I am very happy to be here right now. Because I've been a journalist for 20 years. 10 years I'm doing specifically energy, and the energy sector, and particularly heating and cooling, has been predominantly male since the very beginning. Now, during the last decade, so since I started taking a deep interest in energy, we tend to see, or at least this is my opinion, a change in the sector, with more young women and lately non-binary people taking an interest in energy and climate issues and jobs. And it makes sense because it is their future on the line after all, right? So great examples of this change are the three ladies in this panel that represent a different energy project each. Giulia Conforto is a senior researcher at eThink Energy Research with deep expertise in developing international projects and partnerships for sustainable energy. Elena Troia is assistant professor at the course of energy efficiency at the University of Pisa and energy and investments manager at the Paper and Board Alliance. And last but certainly not least, Dr. Isabella Nardini is manager of international affairs at Fraunhofer Research Institution for Energy Infrastructures and Geotechnologies, IEG, in Germany. And if I'm not mistaken, we could have had this conversation also in Italian because we're all fluent. I'm not native, but I'm fluent myself, having studied in Italy. So I would like to start with you, Giulia, and then I will go to the other two ladies too. I would like an introduction from you. Tell us a few things about yourself and the projects that you are representing today.
Thank you for your kind words, Areti. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for staying for this second panel. It's really an honor to be here today. I'm a senior researcher at eThink, as Areti was saying. The focus of my research is mainly financing the decarbonization of buildings, because we come across this issue more and more often that municipalities and companies don't have the funds. And we are convinced that actually the political will is the main element. The funds are there if you know where to look. So this is what what my work focuses on. The project for which I'm participating today is called CoolLIFE. It's a life research project that aims at meeting the growing space cooling demand in sustainable ways. It's a project that will develop a tool that will start actually this spring, a training campaign, a tool for assessing cooling needs and space cooling needs, a potential for district cooling, potential from renewables and other technologies, and also maps the available policy and financing options. It also produces a knowledge hub with valuable resources. But that's not the only project that I'm working on in the field of heating and cooling. There are many others. Another one that is coming to an end this year is called SAFEA, developing a single digital market uptake for geothermal district heating and cooling. Basically a similar work, but focused on integrating deep and shallow geothermal sources. Another one is ReLIFE, developing a platform to assess the technical and economical option to decarbonize buildings, so energy retrofit and deep renovations. FlexGeo is developing a flexible geothermal shallow geothermal heat pump that can provide alternatively heating, cooling, or electricity. And then we have Acton Heat that just finished supporting local administrations in advancing the decarbonization of the heating and cooling sector. ESCALATE, just started in September, is developing a platform with a open access training course, a template and a guideline for developing heating and cooling plans in line with the new requirements of the recast, the Energy Efficiency Directive recast Article 25, that asks all municipalities above 45,000 inhabitants to have a heating and cooling plan, and most don't have it yet. And then we have many others, support DHC, but I leave the floor to the other speakers. Thank you, Areti.
Thank you so much, Giulia. I would like to continue with Elena.
Hello, I'm very pleased to be here today. I'm a mechanical engineer and a mom, just for beginning. I'm here today as a representative of the ReLIFE European project. It is a project in the Horizon program. We are more than 20 partners between academic and industrial ones. And the aim of this project is to find a new solution for industrial cooling, starting from waste heat and renewable sources. So our contribution as, since, I work in industry mainly, so yes, I'm a professor, but I'm only an industrial professor, let's say, in this course of University of Pisa. So this course is a good one, I think, also because there is a mix between academic and industrial professors. So it's a pleasure for me to teach their energy efficiency, because it's quite important to find the right solution for practical application in industry itself. So this project and all the projects that also Giulia mentioned, we had the chance to briefly speak the last days of how many cooperation can be done between academic and industrial partners thanks to European programs. So mainly this is what why I'm here today, and I'm pleased to be here today. So
excellent, Elena, and I couldn't agree more. This mix of industry and academia is important because when they're isolated, they both can make mistakes. Networking, working together, the most important thing. Isabella, up to you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here. As you already mentioned, I'm working as Manager of International Affairs at Fraunhofer IG. I have a scientific background because I'm a geochemist, so starting in doing many years of research in the geothermal sector as geochemist. And then I moved more than 10 years ago to this new role, so coordinating projects and programs at international levels. So I'm working by having these roles, I'm working on different international projects. So on geothermal, on CCS, on smart energy system. The project I'm representing today is Cooling Down Project, which is also a live project. We are 12 partners from Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Romania, and Spain. And how it started? It started in 2022, and it will end on March of this year. So the idea, we know that in Europe, temperatures are rising more than twice as fast as the global average, leading to more frequent heat waves. And in Europe, the demand for sustainable cooling is growing and is set to grow exponentially over the next decades. So in our project, Cooling Down, it aims to develop a vision for a renewable cooling sector in Europe. We focus on geothermal and solar. So we offer a policy recommendation to achieve it, and the project itself is assessing technological, economical, and social trends through research, modeling, involvement, and engagement of different stakeholders. While we also focus on the technology, and we have different case studies. So we have in this project a case study in France, in Germany, in Italy, in Romania, and Spain that have been identified to understand the dynamics of barrier renewables and efficient cooling solution in these different countries. Because, of course, the demand of cooling is absolutely crucial, but it's still poorly known. So there's a lot to be done. Thank you. I think I made the introduction of this project.
Thank you, Isabella. We'll come back to that. Thank you all, ladies, for this brief introduction. And to be honest, listening to you speaking and researching a little bit about the good work you have done in your careers, I couldn't help but wondering, what was it that inspired you to enter to this journey? How have you seen also your role evolve in the industry over the years? Elena, would you like to give us an answer first?
Yeah, sure. Well, I remember when I was a young lady, only caring about doing the best at school, let's say. This soon after university, choosing university was the first step into this direction, because, as I said, I'm a mechanical engineer. It was not, let's say, the normal choice at that time, because I'm 46 years old, and we were 10 upon 250 in the class. At the end of the course, I think we were 7 or 8. So this was the first step toward this direction, energy. Let's say energy, but in general R&D, because when I was young, what I knew was that I liked science, and I liked to develop new things for the world in general. In fact, I worked also at the beginning in the biomedical field, because my other passion is medicine, let's say. So my first approach to European project was in the medical sector, in the medical field, because I worked 5 years in FP7 programs for biorobotics. After those 5 years, I started working in industry more and more, because I wanted the research to be more real, let's say. I like to see innovation, but applied innovation, let's say. So that's what drove me into the change in paper industry. Paper industry, I don't know if is so well known, but it's the 5th energy intensive sector in the world. So high energy consuming sector. And that's why there are many challenges to face in the next years that we want to face, and I'm pleased to face these challenges, and I'm also pleased to be born in Europe, or to work in Europe at least, because European cares about this, let's say. So we are, I mean, I'm very, very proud of working with all those new young people, young females working in this field, because I see a lot of passion, and I think that this will drive us into the right direction.
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more again. I hope we won't squeeze the passion out of them because we have a lot of challenges to face in climate action and energy. But let's hope for the best and ask for the best. Isabella?
The question was, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. I was wondering, what was it that made you choose the career path that you did? What inspired you to pursue this career? And how have you seen your role evolve during the years?
So I started as geochemist of active volcanoes. So my passion were active volcanoes. I started as a volcanologist. And so I started for passion. And then I evolved from there to the geochemist of high temperature geothermal resources, because of course they are related to magmatic environment. And then I continue my research in the energy sector. And so I started, as I said already, as a researcher, and then I went from micro scale to macro scale, because then becoming manager of international projects and programs gives you a completely different vision with respect to the micro scale I was used to study and to work. And what I really like and enjoy, and I see these changes over the time, is that we are working in a sector which is deals with the modern energy access concept. And modern energy access or just energy transition, or all these, they're not only related now to the affordability and reliability of the resource, but also to sustainability, meaning social, health. So we are in a transition toward really humanizing energy. So taking into this consideration that we are working in a field that, of course, has the climate goals, which are very important, but also take into account also the sustainability from the community point of view, health and social issues. So this is something that I really is the most attractive things for me. So having this holistic approach.
Yeah. It makes total sense. And given your expertise and your interest, your hobby, like you said, about volcanoes, I'm sure you're checking out what's happening in Greece, in Santorini lately with volcano.
I've been working there.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting thing. Not for the people that live in Santorini, I fear, but yeah, it is interesting. Giulia, please.
Yeah, I have made quite a journey until I landed this position, I must say. So I hesitated a lot between studying natural sciences, which is a special degree that exists almost only in Italy, which mixes a lot of different natural sciences degrees, and international relations and diplomacy. And eventually I went for international relations and diplomacy, but the care for the environment and the world and nature always stuck with me. And I wanted to do a job that could affect people's lives. So energy is something that changes the quality of life. And that's how I wanted to basically advance the energy transition. The fact is that when I graduated in 2008, it was still too early to find a lot of interest in the sector, in the universities. There were almost no degrees on these topics. So I went to study energy economics, and then it was the years of the credit crunch. I tried to work in Italy in the energy sector. I found many different positions, but hardly they were connected to the transition. And I really wanted to do smart grids, integration of renewables, energy efficiency, energy sobriety, to bring the idea of sustainability into the industry, into the policies. And eventually I moved out of Italy. I came to Vienna for a position in Sustainable Energy for All, that is an initiative of the United Nations. to negotiate partnerships with private and public sectors. And from there, I moved into WeThink, where I started my career as a researcher and sometimes consulting with the World Bank, with the IFC. So my journey brings together different elements: the experience in the private sector, the background in international relations, this tendency to find negotiations not as a way to win and make the other side lose, but as a way to discover what both sides can find beneficial if they are only clear and open about what their needs are. And yeah, that's my journey into the sector. Finally, I'm very glad to see that the policy support is changing the importance that we give to the energy transition. Now it looks like energy transition is everywhere on the political agenda, in the companies' ESG reporting, in their social responsibility image, but it's actually a recent phenomenon in this scale, because for a long time it has been widely disregarded. I'm very glad that we're entering this phase. Hopefully it's not too late.
Yes, there are the skeptics that say that it is a little bit too little too late. Let's not side with them. Let's just say that there's still hope and we can still do things if more continents, countries, and big polluters side with Europe, because Europe is doing is working towards, I think, personally and humbly, the right direction, but I don't know if everyone does. You gave me a very nice assist to go to news, to topics that are important right now in the energy sector. But before we do that, I would like to briefly ask you all, just in a sentence or two, to tell me if there was a mentor in your life that actually sent you towards that director and towards that direction. And if that mentor was a woman, it would be perhaps better. But if not, it's okay. Is that?
Yeah. Yes. So mentors for sure. I had three key figures of during my career. So an initial mentor, if we can call it mentor, but I prefer I identify three key persons. All of them are males, and a common point among them: very professional, very serious in the work from the professional point of view, and with a strong empathy and human part. So this is something that I can. It's a common point that I have encountered with in all of them. As a model, I've had positive model, but also I've learned from the negative models.
Yes.
So
that's a very good point.
Also negative models that I have taught me a lot of what I maybe done
the hard way, as they say. Yes, I know what you mean.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. Giulia, would you like to tell us also?
Yeah, I didn't really have a mentor throughout my career. I must say I had a tutor in one of my internships in Edison who believed a lot in my capability. And whenever I say they wanted to or aim to work here or there, he would tell me, no, you'll get bored, don't go there. So this kind of support. But I pestered most of my professors because I wanted more, but I haven't found a mentor. And this is why I recently started mentoring young graduates of my own research center, because I think that had I had someone helping me going through the steps of creating a career and advancing a career, I would have advanced much faster. It took me 7 years of jobs in the energy sector before I could land one that was really focused on the energy transition. So that was my interest, my passion. I kept supporting it, I kept studying it, but I couldn't do it in my everyday work. And now I want to give it back to younger graduates if I can. Absolutely, makes total sense.
Elena?
Well, at the beginning of my career, I met a professor of Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna, a female, She was a researcher. She is a researcher in medical robotics, and I remember I've read about her on newsprint because at that time there was not so much web, let's say, so really paper newsprint. And I searched for her after graduation because I wanted to visit her lab, and she invited me for an interview. So I was very impressed by her being a female in that lab, in a good position. She was graduating in physics with, I mean, the maximum level, at the maximum level, and I mean, she is still a female that I think about when I think about strength, and I mean, when I want to think about a model, let's say, to follow. And during the years, what I found, I mean, colleagues, female colleagues, has been for me also a mentor, let's say, because I always find, I always have found female colleagues very determined, very strong, and even if they few females, but all the ones that I found are have taught me something. One, especially in the machinery company I was working before, she was I mean, older than me, and a chemical engineer. I mean, she taught me how to speak in meetings with men. Which is, yes, I mean, at the beginning, in the last panel, in the previous panel, they were speaking about meetings, I mean, in companies with men, and I found the same experience. I've lived the same experience as them. At the beginning, I was telling something and no one was listening to me.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
So after some years, and looking at her also, she was, I mean, she had a very long experience and very good technical skills. So this is, I think, mandatory.
Yes,
but not only for women, I mean, for everyone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, you need to be self-confident, and then you can start speaking.
Which is something that young people, like the latest generations, do have, I think. I mean, I look the young women and men that I work with at Enlit, and I'm kind of proud of them, and sometimes a little bit intimidated. They're quite strong. And yeah, I'm thinking, you know what, as a species, we're doing something right if new generations are better than the older ones. I would like now to ask you a little bit your opinion on the EU Commission's new compass to regain competitiveness and secure sustainable prosperity. We know up until now that the European Commission was working hard on the Green Deal and trying to have everything sustainable and renewable, etc. However, throughout the years, there were some voices from the industry, mainly, but not only, that came out saying that all this is well, but the likes of China, US, etc., will really walk on us, over us. What are we going to do about it? So as I was reading this competitiveness compass, it is my opinion that the EU Commission is trying to react and do some things about it. I don't know, how do you see it, Giulia?
Well, there are two things to say. One of the parts of the compass is to increase diversity and inclusivity, and that's one of in my opinion, in my experience, it's one of the best way to avoid having a shared bias. So to avoid that a lot of people think in the same way, have the same perception, perspective, and leave out a big mistake that is passing unnoticed. And inclusivity, gender, cultural background, nationality, that is always a key element, key ingredient. The other thing is that, so there is this misperception of the energy transition. Because we have been used to live a certain way and consume a certain way, it must be good, because if it wasn't good, then it means that we all were mistaken for many years and decades. So there is this bias in perception, for which we don't understand that the more we keep pursuing the same energy model of consumption and production that we have used so far, the worse will be the consequences for the climate, but also for the economy, because of the climate damages, because of the damages in terms of health and quality of life, availability of crops yields, but also in stranded assets. So we should start understanding that transitioning towards a more sustainable energy system is actually making us save money. It's making us invest money today to save it later. But of course, this is a long debate in economics, how long-sighted or short-sighted are consumers, investors, and market actors. I don't know what the others think about it.
Let's hear them. Elena, I see you were fast to unmute yourself, so there is something you want to say.
No. No, I always have something to say. It's better not. No, well, I agree with Giulia. Well, the compass, European compass, is really something important for the world in general, even if the world is not adult enough to recognize it. We, as Europe, we have been always in history, or many times in history, a driving force for going in the right direction, in a positive direction, towards, avoiding the bias, being sustainable in general, let's say. But the point is money, as Giulia was saying. Money. We need to deal with money, but what we can do as researcher and cooperating between us is to translate these sustainable efforts that we need to face into money, as Giulia was saying, and energy.
Oh, I think that we lost Elena. So until Elena comes back with us, she's back.
For decarbonization can help us. We were not. I was not. I'm sorry.
Only a little bit at the end, if you can.
Okay.
Only a little bit at the end.
I was saying that we need to. Our cooperation between industry and researchers, which is one of the main targets that always Europe has had from the beginning, let's say, because all these European programs, in funding programs, push this direction, because it is very important that in order to find new solutions that can help us becoming competitive in the world, is to work together on these new solutions. And I think that we can do it because as European we are very very inside these arguments. We take care about this. And I'm happy to be, as I said, I'm happy to be an European girl, because this is the direction in which all the countries should work. We need to work on the economics more and more. So also in European projects, we need to focus more on this. I
Absolutely.
guess.
And as we all come from the South, we know that the economy, finance is an important thing. You're absolutely right, Elena. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else, or should I go to Isabella?
No, well, I can add only that in Italy, but what I've found in Italy, but maybe we can also, widen up in Europe in general. Funding, there are many funding opportunities also for industry, but probably are not well used. So what we need to do more is to work more on these opportunities that Europe offers us. I mean, that we offer us as European, in order to face the economic challenges that we have in the world.
Absolutely. And maybe, and what I'll say, take it with a pinch of salt, maybe we can also, this funding can also go not to the same people all the time, but to more people around. It would be great, I think. Isabella, do you have a comment on the compass?
Yes, I have a comment. So I read it also, of course, and let's say this dual approach of the EU Compass, which is on a side boosting competitiveness through technological innovation, sustainability, and global cooperation, while securing long-term prosperity by fostering an inclusive and resilient economy. I think that all the key points were absolutely included. So either the three core areas of innovation, decarbonization, and security, and also the 5 transversal enables, which are promoting investment, simplifying regulations, developing of skills, and these are the barriers that we always encounter in all these European framework. So I think that the success of this vision will mostly depend on the ability of Europe to balance, short-term economic pressure with long-term environment and social goals. So by embracing this let's say, holistic approach, the Europe can set itself on a path not only to regain competitiveness, but also to redefine prosperity in a sustainable and inclusive manner. This is the comment and my consideration.
Yeah. Absolutely. And do you think that this will be one of the things, the compass, that will positively impact working for the sector? And what are other changes, let's say, that happened in this sector, the energy sector, heating and cooling, maybe even the paper industry, because it's a very interesting one, that positively impacted working for it? Giulia, would you perhaps like to give us your thoughts?
Sorry, Areti, I got distracted for a moment.
I can ask it again. So I was saying that basically, I think that the compass, the competitiveness compass of the EU Commission is a positive change for someone that works in the sector. Can you think of other changes that were as positive while you started working in the sector? Or can you tell us perhaps, first of all, if you agree with what I'm saying, because you're free to disagree also, but if you agree, why would you say this is a positive thing?
So let's put it this way. From my perspective, definitely the compass is a very positive step ahead. I come from the Italian experience. In Italy, let's say politics are very national-centered. There is not much effort put into international politics because it's not considered a priority. And in my experience, politicians have not proved to have found reasons to make bold choices. So they basically, it happens often to see that the political will is aimed at preserving their audience, their pool of voters. And some choices that needs to be done when you want to see a radical change in a system, such as the one we need to carry out to combat climate change and complete the energy transition, are not very popular. So from both a European citizen, I'm very fond of the European institutions, and an Italian citizen, I can say that I keep thanking the policy resolutions that are taken at the European level, because most of the times they are scientifically based. This is one of the things that is often missing, and they force the member states to advance in the transition. Now, what we have seen with the taxonomy, that was one of the weaknesses that...
Are you referring to the nuclear, perhaps?
I'm referring to natural gas being...
even more, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
You know, the politics are also made of compromises. So
it's needed, however, right? It is needed.
I'll pass on the floor to Elena or Isabella if they would like to continue.
Let's hear Elena. Isabella, which one of you would like to go first? I think
Please, Isabella, go on.
Either. Yes, I think that indeed the EU Compass can support the energy sector also, because I was saying we encountered the same barriers that are exactly mentioned in the regarding the key industry. What was the other question?
If there were any other key industry changes that may
you know that you know that I come from I work in an applied research center. Okay, so what I can say is that probably applied research, meaning strictly working with the industry. From the research, for an applied research institute point of view, I can say that probably the energy demand, the sustainability, the green building certification, stricter environmental regulation, tax incentives for energy efficient updates. This leads industry to face technological challenges, and of course push them to improve and invest in R&D. And here is R&D is the point where we meet. So I can see this from the research point of view, that there is an increase in interest and the cooperation in research and development by the industry sector for these energy efficiency in innovative technologies.
Elena, your comment?
Yeah, and this is what I also see. I mean, that pushing this direction, I mean, the direction towards decarbonization and a sustainable future in general, let's say, gives the clients the right direction for industry, let's say. So also obligation, this is something that helps, because even if there are, I mean, entrepreneurs which are, I mean, inclined towards doing the best and, I mean, environmentally speaking, I can tell that, I mean, I've seen a lot of good companies that want to do investments and in this direction. But the point is that, as we were saying before, the competition in the world is quite tough. And energy plays a very important role in the costs of industry. So the European Compass and European measures for helping industry finding new solution, new competitive solution in the field really helps making the path for competitiveness of the industry itself. So, and I really see it because, I mean, currently I'm the energy manager and the investment manager. So I am also in charge of finding external fundings for the for making new investments, because even, I mean, private funding, even if there are a lot of private fundings, they are not enough to face the challenge that we have.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I would like to come now to the questions from our audience, because they're quite interesting ones, and they're focusing in the work and not in the fact that we are women, which I also like a lot. Yes. So the first question is, what projects are related to space cooling that we should look out for? And here I would like to ask you, which one of you would like to answer, to go first, or please go, Giulia, please.
Well, CoolLIFE is a project that focuses solely on space cooling. We don't focus on process cooling, so only on space cooling, but there is a lot. You can check the website. There's the link in the chat for a presentation of the project, for the first deliverables, for the resources that we have put in the resource hub, and there is a link to the tool. The tool is accompanied by a wiki, and if you're interested in attending one of the training events that we will offer starting from next month, just get in touch. You can leave your email in the chat. I will make sure to reach out.
Perfect.
You can also check the cooling down project. It's a bit different, but you can indeed also check or contact me for the cooling down project.
Elena, I don't know if you want to add something, or we can proceed.
Well, no, you can go on. At the end of the day, we are the partners that will love to see all these solutions applied. So
perfect. So another question is, are there any projects, industry work related to future cooling in cold environments, or if they are right now existent? For example, Northern Europe, the Nordics, I would assume, etc. The technical requirements differ from classical cooling solutions or sustainable cooling solutions created for different climates. It's a really good question. Who would like to go, perhaps?
If I may, I can contribute on that, unless, Isabella, you want to go first. So we, in CoolLIFE, we have recently done a mapping of the policy at the national level in all the 27 European member states. And what happens is that cooling is mostly disregarded as a need. So the fact that the climate is heating up, yes, temperatures are higher, discomfort in indoor environment and summer comfort are felt, but the cooling demand doesn't raise accordingly. And the example, to make you understand where we stand, is very simple. Would you ever rent a house or an apartment without a heating system? Hardly the case. But would you rent a house or an apartment without an air conditioning system? You could still consider that. So there is a different perception of heating and cooling. And in the northern countries, it's true that temperatures are rising, and it's true that the temperature are rising in different measures in different areas of the planet. So not everywhere the same, but still, what happens is that one of the solutions that is proposed the most often are heat pumps, and reversible heat pumps can provide both heating and cooling. Insulation of the buildings is mostly aimed at reducing heating needs rather than cooling needs, but a better insulation can also help to reduce cooling needs. We have not found in our policy mapping specific requirements concerning cooling that are different between northern and southern countries. And actually, the southern countries are not always those that have the most, how could I say, policy measures or financing measures or support measures for sustainable cooling. Actually, those that are the most active are those that are the most active in general in their energy transition, or those that have a higher public budget available for this, not necessarily those that endures the higher temperatures.
Isabella?
An additional comment, I do fully agree with Giulia, so nothing to add, apart from the fact that in cooling down, I do fully agree with the consideration. In cooling down, we didn't analyze the northern, we have different case studies, but I do fully agree with what Giulia said.
Perfect. May I add something in this? I would like to build up a little bit on this last question and ask, okay, for the technical requirements, what about the regulatory requirements? Because in various areas in Europe, we have different rules and regulations. Do they affect also this sector? And who would like to, Elena, I see, would you like to?
Yes, absolutely, yes. It affects. I mean, authorization-wise, I've seen, I mean, I've worked in a company that previously in the past that built up machinery and plants for paper industry. Now I work in a paper mill in Italy. So the machinery were installed everywhere in the world and in Europe, in many countries. So I've seen the difference in the authorization phase before doing everything, let's say. So in the northern countries in Europe, I've seen fastened processes, let's say. In Italy, not, for example. I've seen good, timing in the Iberic Peninsula. In fact, they are very, very good in renewables, where they are very advanced in that direction since years. They are a driving force for Europe in that sense. So the authorization process and politics, as also Giulia was mentioning before, makes the difference in doing the things.
Thank you very much, Elena. I don't know if Giulia, I think, Elena made a very good point and was really but I don't know if you ladies would like to add something?
I can add, I do agree with Elena, and just add that the sector is, the cooling sector, it remains not well known by the policymakers. So the point is that when we talk about cooling, it's not only about housing, cities, industry. It's not only about houses, but also industry, cities, municipalities. So really a multi-stakeholder approach is needed, because the fact that is fully known by the policymakers. So there are no clear regulation, sometimes no regulation, or at least not. There is not such a strong legal framework, is a barrier for the development of the European cooling industry and the deployment of this solution. So, despite the diversity of the legal framework in different countries, we have this issue that is still fully known, the sector, by the policymakers.
Absolutely.
Actually, if I may add something, so one thing that we have noticed is that at the European level, whatever piece of European policy we came across, regulations, directives, resolutions, and so on, lately we can see that heating and cooling are mainstream, as always mentioned together. But actually the heating demand is so much bigger in terms of energy consumption that it is seen as the main issue rather than the cooling demand. The fact is that the cooling demand is growing very fast. So even though the energy consumption related to cooling is not as high as the energy consumption related to heating, it is becoming a growing issue, especially in terms of repercussions, not only on the quality of life, summer indoor comfort, but in terms of health consequences for the most vulnerable part of the population. The fact is also that cooling is mostly provided with traditional air conditioning systems, so they are electrical devices, and decarbonizing the power generation follows a different path than decarbonizing the heating and cooling consumption in buildings. So they are two separate parts of the policy of the market. This might give further insight.
Absolutely. Ladies, at this point, I must say that we are reaching the end of our conversation. I think it was a really nice journey in your lives and your working experience, inspiration, but also we touched upon, maybe went a little bit further in important topics in the energy and cooling and heating sector in Europe. I really liked what we discussed about the young people and how strong they are. But I would like to end this discussion with some final words from you. And I would like you to give, if you would, a piece of advice, briefly. And what advice would you give to a young person? It doesn't have to be a woman. It can be a young person that is thinking of entering this sector, the workforce of this sector. Just briefly, a piece of advice. Elena, would you like to go first?
Yes. You will need always to be positive, to have positive targets, be self-confident, cooperative. So it is very important to be part of a team, without avoiding, being yourself, let's say, and never give up. So these are my main advices to young people, which are the main advice I give to my daughter every day. So
perfect. Thank you, Elena. Isabella.
And so to young people, I would say that the energy sectors, either in industry or research, offers a great variety of opportunities. So confidence comes with learning, practice, commitment to work. So the more you build your skills and knowledge, the more you will realize that you and the others can trust your abilities. The skills you bring on the table will help you to make a great impact. And remember also that every expert once was a beginner. So this is my advice.
Perfect advice. Thank you, Isabella. Giulia.
I fully support that. I'd say that this is a complex sector. As Isabella was saying, there are a lot of different roles, a lot of different companies and organizations. It's fine if you don't know exactly what you want to do, but it would be wise to find out. So reach out and ask. Most of the times, when you reach out and ask, you will find that many more people are willing to share their insight, their experience than you think. Go out to events, talk to professionals of the sector, try to find out if you would like that job, if that industry is for you, if you would rather work in a different kind of organization, what opportunities are there, and then reach out. Most of the times what happens is that there are organizations that might look for a profile like yours, they just haven't figured out their need yet, they haven't opened the position, and if you reach out to the people working in there, you will land it before even the position is opened. It happens all the time.
Ladies, perfect advices. Thank you all three so very much. It was a wonderful conversation. I enjoyed myself a lot. Hope you did too. Carmela, back to you, and thank you so much for this invitation and for this perfect organization.
Thank you, Areti. Thank you, all of you girls. It's been an insightful conversation that I hope that our attendees enjoy as much as I did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you. Bye.
Keep in touch. Bye. Thank you.